Hello, and welcome back to Fox's Hollow. Here on a...
Hey, sweetie.
It's a bit of a miserable
For
Isle of Skye.
For anybody who's visited Skye before, you'll see this is normal weather today.
Thank you to everyone for all of your comments, all of your feedback, and all of your support. They're all super helpful and help spur us on to make videos like these so that we can share our knowledge and the history of the things that we love.
And as promised, this week you're going to be working on Sgian Achles, which is going to be the second in our set of uniquely Scottish blades. So the Sgian Achles, or Sgian Achles, comes from the Gaelic. Sgian, meaning knife, and Achles, meaning armpit. In Scots, Oxter, Achles, armpit. Now these blades are mentioned in texts from the 1700s, namely Edward Burt's Letters from a Gentleman from the North of England. And that talks about the wearing of the Sgian Achles and how common it was amongst the Highlanders. That said, there's only actually been 2 examples of a Sgian Achill which have been named as Sgian Achles. One of which is in the National Museums of Scotland, so if you fancy giving it a visit, give it a visit. These blades seem to have been the precursor to the Sgian Dubhs that came before it. And the mentions being worn underneath the jacket or waistcoat in a sheath underneath the armpit. The really covert blade.
There's very little evidence, like mention or evidence of the Sgian Achles, which is unusual for a knife that's been in circulation for about 300 years.
So that said, with there being little evidence, and
let's get the forge kicked over.
Let's get the forge kicked over, and let's get started.
See ya. Go.
First we begin with the design. Drawing out the handle to aim for about 4.5 inches, we then work on the blade, making sure that it follows the same shape and design as a Sgian do, but is much longer. Using the 2-pound hammer, we begin by drawing down the height, drawing out the length on the blade. By adjusting my hand, I can control the weight of the hammer that's coming down onto the steel, thereby controlling the deformation and movement. Changing the weight of the hammer, I then begin drawing out and evening up my flats, much more control and precision. Using my hips as a rest for the end of the tongs, I then begin to shape down the spine of the knife. Once I've created the desired curve in the spine, I then flip the billet over and begin forming the cutting edge of the blade, shaping it down so that the tip sits directly in the centre of my tongs. Using the corners of my striking anvil, I then begin to set out a tang for the piece, going into both sides, creating notches, and then drawing out the material with a 2-pound hammer. Sticking with the big hammer and then adding in a flatter, I then even out the material, making sure everything's flush, straight and true. With wing dividers set at 2.5mm apart, I then create notches where I'm going to put in filework that's recognisable in the spine of these Scottish blades. There might be a little surprise in this later on. Using the wing dividers again, I set in the bevels for the blade. Then I can go to the grinder and shape these in afterwards.
On Sunday, it was Mother's Day, so we took Mama Fox out for a nice lunch at Cafe Cool and then for a nice walk down to Carbost waterfront, whilst there was a break in the rain.
It didn't take long until we were back on the tools, using a variety of measuring tools to measure out the height, width, length and curvature of a handle before going on to saws and sanders to finalise the shape. Finally we can see the ends in sight as we drill out the slot for the handle to go into. We then go on to glue and resin to get everything fitted up solid. Before we quench our blade, we need to warm up the oil first, bringing it up to a more viscous temperature. It's just a shame I keep dropping the knife before we get there. I did promise at the start of these videos that I'd give you some hints, tips and tricks. Well, here's one. When you're gluing up with resin, sometimes some Vaseline around areas that you don't want the glue to spread into is a great idea. Once you're finished, it'll pull off quite nicely, but it also creates a barrier, not allowing the resin to flow up further.
You ready?
Yeah.
Once again, another trip to Inverness to get the windscreen replaced on the car. We thought we'd take advantage of this and head over to Fortrose to see Fort George from the other side. And Fort George is where the government troops rallied to face the Jacobites at Culloden. And an interesting fact for you about the area, the Rosemarkie Man. Have you ever heard of him? He was brutally murdered 1,400 years ago, and his remains were found buried in a recess in a cave along the shoreline. We would like to say a big thank you for watching. We hope you have learned something new. And as always, if there's anything you want to see more of, or if you like what you've seen, please leave us a comment below. We are happy to answer any questions you might have.
We'll be back on the 31st of March in 2 weeks building a Dirk, which includes one of Willie's special creations. And your likes and follows help us grow the channel, so please keep them coming and keep us supported.
See you then!
See you then!